When you hear the word detach, it may evoke a sense of coldness and emotional withdrawal or even disinterest, but detachment is not about dismissing others or shutting down emotionally. It's about reclaiming your sovereignty. It's about stepping away from unhealthy dependencies, whether they are on people, outcomes, or external validation, and stepping into a space where you can stand tall as an individual who is not controlled by fear or neediness. For women, this is particularly significant because the world has often conditioned them to believe that their value is tied to how much they give, how much they please, and how much they are willing to sacrifice. Men, consciously or unconsciously, are drawn to strength, but strength is not the same as aggression or dominance. Strength in a woman manifests in her ability to stay grounded in herself, to live with clarity about her values and boundaries, and to maintain an inner life that is not dependent on the whims of others. This is what detachment brings. It's not indifference, it's independence. It's not apathy, it's autonomy. A woman who detaches does not chase. She does not beg for attention, nor does she diminish herself to fit into a mold that someone else has constructed. This type of woman operates from a position of self-worth. She knows that her value is inherent and she carries herself accordingly. And this is profoundly attractive to men, not because it plays into some game of power dynamics, but because it signifies emotional stability. Men are drawn to the stability of a woman who knows herself, who respects herself, and who doesn't waver in her sense of identity. When a woman is overly attached, whether to a relationship, to a man's approval, or to the need for constant reassurance, it creates an imbalance. That attachment often signals insecurity, even desperation. It's as though the woman is saying, "I need you to complete me." But no man, no matter how well-intentioned or caring, wants the responsibility of completing another human being. It's too much pressure, and it's unsustainable. A man wants to feel that he is walking beside someone who is his equal, not someone who clings to him out of fear of being alone. Attachment does not mean withholding affection or playing hard to get. It's not about manipulation or creating distance for the sake of power. True detachment is rooted in self-respect. It's about understanding that you cannot control another person, nor should you try. It's about giving someone the freedom to choose you while simultaneously reserving the freedom to walk away if your values, boundaries, or emotional well-being are compromised. This kind of detachment creates a magnetic pull. Why? Because it signals that you are a person who is whole, not a person who is looking to be made whole by someone else. Men are instinctively drawn to women who exude this sense of wholeness. It's not something that can be faked because it is deeply rooted in your mindset and your emotional health. You cannot pretend to be detached while harboring deep insecurities. Eventually, the cracks will show. True detachment comes from doing the inner work, from building a life that is rich and fulfilling on its own, independent of whether or not someone else is in the picture. A detached woman also embodies a certain calmness. She is not reactive. She doesn't spiral into panic when things don't go her way. She doesn't demand constant reassurance or validation. This emotional steadiness is incredibly attractive because it creates a sense of safety. Men, like anyone else, want to be with someone who brings peace, not chaos. They want a partner who can weather life's storms with composure, someone who doesn't crumble at the first sign of adversity. And here's the paradox. When you detach, you actually create space for deeper connection. When you are not clinging or forcing, when you are not trying to control or manipulate, you allow things to unfold naturally. You give the other person room to show up authentically, without the pressure of meeting your every emotional need. This creates a dynamic of mutual respect and freedom, which is the foundation of any healthy relationship. Detachment also fosters respect. A man respects a woman who respects herself. When you have clear boundaries and you're not afraid to enforce them, you communicate that you value yourself. And when you value yourself, others are more likely to value you too. It's a simple but profound truth. You teach others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Let's talk about the role of mystery. A detached woman doesn't lay all her cards on the table. She doesn't over-explain, over-apologize, or overshare in a desperate attempt to be understood or accepted. She retains an air of mystery, not as a tactic, but as a natural byproduct of being secure in herself. This mystery is intriguing. It draws people in. It invites curiosity. And curiosity is the seed of attraction. When you are detached, you become less predictable, and predictability is often the death of desire. This is not to say that you should play games or keep people guessing in a way that feels manipulative. Genuine detachment is never about games. It's about living your life in alignment with your values and letting others meet you there if they choose to. If they don't, you move forward without bitterness or resentment because your sense of self-worth does not hinge on their acceptance or approval. Consider also the power of focus. A detached woman focuses on her own growth, her own passions, and her own well-being. She doesn't spend all her energy worrying about what someone else is thinking or feeling. This focus on self-improvement is not selfish, it's essential. When you invest in yourself, whether it's through learning, pursuing hobbies, nurturing friendships, or taking care of your physical and emotional health, you become more vibrant, more dynamic, and ultimately more attractive. You are no longer waiting for someone to bring meaning into your life because you are actively creating that meaning for yourself. Men notice this. They notice the woman who is fully engaged in her own life, who has her own dreams and ambitions, and who isn't looking for someone to rescue her or validate her existence. They notice the woman who is confident enough to stand alone, but open enough to let someone in. They notice the woman who doesn't settle for less than she deserves because she knows she deserves more. Detachment is also about emotional resilience. It's about knowing that you can handle disappointment, rejection, or heartbreak without falling apart. This doesn't mean that you suppress your emotions or pretend that you're unaffected by life's challenges. It means that you have cultivated the inner strength to face those challenges with grace and dignity. Men find this resilience incredibly appealing because it signals that you are not fragile. You are not someone who will crumble under the weight of life's inevitable difficulties. You are someone who can stand firm no matter what. The truth is, we all want to be chosen, but the irony is that the less you try to force someone to choose you, the more likely they are to do so. When you detach, you communicate that you are not desperate for their attention or approval. You communicate that you are perfectly fine on your own, and this makes you infinitely more desirable. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about genuinely being hard to get because you are selective, discerning, and unwilling to compromise your values or self-respect. In the end, detachment is not about pushing people away. It's about drawing them closer by being your truest, most authentic self. It's about creating a life that is so rich and fulfilling on its own that anyone who enters it is a bonus, not a necessity. It's about finding peace within yourself and allowing that peace to radiate outward, attracting others who are drawn to your light, your strength, and your unwavering sense of self-detachment. At its core is about mastery over your inner world. It's about understanding that the only thing you can control in any situation is yourself, your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions. This is where true power lies. Who is you? You are who you think you are, but who you can be. A woman who has mastered this internal world becomes a force to be reckoned with. She radiates an energy that is unmistakable, an energy that says, I am enough. And this is what captivates men on a deeply instinctive level. It's important to understand that men, just like women, are searching for connection, but the way they approach it is often different. Men are naturally drawn to what challenges them, what intrigues them, and what they feel they must rise to meet. A woman who is overly attached can inadvertently strip away this challenge by making herself too available, too accommodating, or too dependent. She may think that by giving endlessly or proving her loyalty at every turn, she will earn his devotion. But in reality, this often has the opposite effect. It creates an imbalance, making the relationship feel one-sided and, over time, less fulfilling. Detachment, on the other hand, keeps the dynamic alive. When a woman does not overextend herself or try to prove her worth, she shifts the focus back onto the man. It's no longer about her trying to win him over. It's about him recognizing her value and choosing to step up. This shift is subtle but profound. It awakens something in a man, a desire to pursue, to invest, and to cherish what is not easily attained. And thus, this isn't about playing hard to get. It's about genuinely living in a way that honors your self-worth. A woman who detaches does not live her life orbiting around someone else. She does not drop everything the moment a man shows interest. Instead, she stays rooted in her own priorities, her own ambitions, and her own joy. This doesn't mean she is selfish or unwilling to make compromises. It means she is discerning. She recognizes that her time and energy are valuable, and she invests them wisely. Men find this incredibly compelling. It creates a sense of mutual respect. When a man sees that a woman respects herself enough to set boundaries, to prioritize her well-being, and to maintain her independence, he cannot help but respect her too. Respect, after all, is the foundation of love. Without it, no relationship can thrive. A detached woman also inspires admiration because she embodies a rare quality, balance. She knows how to give without losing herself. She knows how to love deeply while still holding space for her own growth and individuality. This balance is what keeps a relationship vibrant. It ensures that both people remain whole, rather than merging into a codependent dynamic that ultimately stifles growth and passion. Let's talk about the role of unpredictability. When a woman is detached, she becomes less predictable, not in a chaotic or unreliable way, but in a way that keeps things interesting. She is not always available. She is not always quick to say yes or to bend to someone else's wishes. This unpredictability is not about being difficult. It's about ensuring that her actions align with her values and her goals, rather than simply reacting to external demands or expectations. This element of unpredictability creates excitement. It keeps the man on his toes, making him more attentive, more engaged, and more eager to understand her. He begins to see her as a person with her own complexities, someone who cannot be fully figured out or taken for granted. This sense of wonder and curiosity is what sustains attraction over time. Another crucial aspect of detachment is emotional responsibility. A detached woman does not place the burden of her happiness on someone else's shoulders. She does not expect a man to fill the voids in her life or to fix her insecurities. Instead, she takes full ownership of her emotional well-being. She understands that happiness is an inside job, and she does the necessary work to cultivate it within herself. This emotional responsibility is incredibly liberating, not just for her, but for the man she is with. It removes the pressure from the relationship and allows it to flourish naturally. The man does not feel that he is constantly walking on eggshells, trying to manage her emotions or avoid triggering her insecurities. Instead, he feels free to be himself, knowing that she is grounded enough to handle her own emotions. There's also an undeniable allure in a woman who knows how to walk away. This doesn't mean that she is quick to abandon relationships or that she avoids commitment. On the contrary, it means that she values herself enough to walk away from anything that compromises her integrity or diminishes her spirit. She does not stay in situations out of fear, guilt, or obligation. She stays because she chooses to, because it aligns with her values and her sense of purpose. This ability to walk away is not about proving a point or gaining leverage. It's about having the courage to prioritize her own well-being. It's about recognizing that a relationship should enhance her life, not detract from it. Men are drawn to this strength, even if they don't fully understand it. It signals that she is not afraid to stand alone, that she is complete within herself, and that her love is a choice, not a need. This doesn't mean that detached women are invulnerable. On the contrary, they are deeply in touch with their emotions, but they do not let their emotions control them. They experience love, joy, sadness, and even heartbreak, but they do so with a sense of resilience. They understand that emotions are fleeting, that pain is a part of growth, and that no single moment defines their worth or their future. This resilience is magnetic. It creates an aura of strength and stability that men find deeply attractive. It reassures them that they are not stepping into a relationship with someone who will crumble under pressure or become overly dependent on them for stability. Instead, they are stepping into a partnership with someone who is as strong as she is loving, as independent as she is nurturing. And here's the ultimate irony. When you detach, you often receive more of what you want. When you stop trying to control or cling to a relationship, you create space for it to thrive. You give the other person the freedom to come to you willingly rather than out of obligation or pressure. You allow the relationship to unfold naturally in its own time without forcing it to meet your expectations. Men cannot resist women who detach because detachment is a reflection of inner strength. It shows that you are a person who knows your worth, who lives with intention, and who refuses to settle for anything less than what aligns with your values and your vision for your life. It's not about being distant or unapproachable. It's about being so secure in yourself that you become a source of inspiration and stability for others. The power of detachment is not just about attracting a man, it's about creating a life that is rich, fulfilling, and meaningful in its own right. It's about stepping into your power as a woman who knows her worth and refuses to compromise it for anyone. It's about living with courage, authenticity, and grace, knowing that you are complete as you are, and that anyone who joins you on your journey is simply an added blessing. In the end, detachment is not about rejecting connection, but about redefining it. It's about cultivating a sense of inner wholeness that allows you to love freely, without fear, neediness, or control. A woman who detaches does not place her worth in the hands of another, nor does she compromise her authenticity to gain acceptance. Instead, she stands as an individual who is strong, resilient, and deeply rooted in self-respect. Men cannot resist women who embody this mindset because it signals confidence, emotional stability, and an unwavering sense of self. It invites mutual respect, inspires admiration, and fosters a dynamic of equality and freedom. Detachment creates space for relationships to thrive naturally, built on trust, respect, and genuine affection, not obligation or dependence. Ultimately, detachment is a powerful act of self-love. It reminds you that your value is not contingent upon anyone else's approval, and your life is enriched not by chasing others, but by cultivating your own joy and fulfillment. When you live this way, you not only attract deeper, more meaningful connections, but also live with a sense of peace, knowing that your happiness comes from within